Why do men have low self-esteem? In the patriarchal age, which is a 12,000 year time, man has brought women out of community with other women, which basically disrupts the tribe, okay? Creates a sort of division in the tribe, creates a major separation, and even creates conflict in the tribe. Because when the women are community together, they're about resolution. When you get women together in many ways who have gone through a rite of passage of womanhood, again, women are part of an elder system, they have that through the emotional maturity and spiritual evolution, their focus is resolution, right? But when that was kind of disrupted and the tribe was divided and people went off and did their own things and they stopped talking with each other, they stopped sharing, people didn't even know languages, like people had completely different languages and nobody even understood those different languages because nobody would share. Nobody would share, nobody would, everybody just kind of took interest in themselves, right? And because of the man kind of, set up that patriarchal age that we've been in for it to be about kind of interest in, for ourselves, right? And that was kind of a divide and conquer sort of strategy, right? Because when people can't speak the languages because they haven't been sharing, the women are not in contact with other women from different regions, there's conflict. It's a lot easier to, patriarchal age conquer when people can't really mobilize because, they can't really come together and really decide for themselves if they really want to be a part of this kingship type of thing, because they haven't shared, they haven't really discussed for centuries with each other, right? So of course it's, when you got all these people confused and divided and they don't know how to conversate with each other, they don't know how to communicate, they don't even have the language, they don't even know about the culture, they're completely disconnected from each other, it's very easy to just kind of, create, promote your interests, right? Because as long as there's mental conflict, people are never going to really kind of they're not going to have personal power to really make a decision, right? So therefore, a decision will just be made for them, right? It's very hard to make a decision when you don't have personal power and you're confused, right? And a lot of times, confusion comes from being disconnected from ourselves and being disconnected from our community, right? That's why we're confused. And we get so disconnected from our emotions, from our soul, from our intuition, that we spend our whole life in this thing of confusion. And that's why we can't make decisions. And when we can't make decisions, we can be easily deceived and easily manipulated, right? By something else, some whatever kingship that comes in and presents this decision for us, right? So, the low self-esteem of man has a lot to do with the being disconnected from nature, being disconnected from his soul, right? And being disconnected from the divine feminine in many ways. Because the divine feminine is not just the mother, it's not just the grandmother, it's not just the wife or the sister, it's also nature. Divine feminine is nature. Earth is basically divine feminine, which is about creativity and about the laws, the kind of, mastery of creation and how to really heal. Earth is this healing machine. It can heal very quickly. Nature is such a healer. And when you're disconnected from that and you have just the ego, right, which in many ways is just about, your identity, right? Just about you and your survival, and you have nothing else, life can become very careless, very reckless, very, negative karma. It can become very unruly, very even degrading, right? Because if that's all you have is just the identity and feeding the identity and serving the identity and serving the interest, which is the identity, and you have nothing else to have really help you to become more balanced, of course you're not gonna see the bigger picture. That self-importance will become just very self-destructive, right? So sex, money, food, and water becomes very destructive, which again leads into, poverty, which leads into, again, social economic, just conflict and war after war, and where it comes into nature being used and abused, right, for this self-importance. So, the divine feminine is always been for man the kind of awakening of his emotional body, which helps him to really um, sort of expand upon his ego, so that he's not just living with a limited ego, he's living with a more cosmic ego, which is about looking at the bigger picture of, why, we're here on earth, right? In the bigger picture of our choices and our cause and effect of that. So, a lot of that low self-esteem with man, and why there's, in many ways, there's so much hate for women. Like, you see in, some places, some things, you hear some stories about what's going on, with how, what men are doing, right? Like, killing women. Like, I've, heard about the whole sort of like culture in South America about men shooting women in the vagina, and that's not even it. There's more things out there, and it all comes from it comes from this deep wound the male body carries. We women carry their own kind of wound in this patriarchal age, but the male wound has a lot to do with, the divine feminine, right? And the negative karma that was created out of disrespecting nature, right? And kind of not listening to your soul. There's a great sadness in that, and when we're just the self-importance, and we're not thinking about, again, the divinity of ourselves, which is, the cosmic law and order of things. We can really get into irresponsibility, where we get really into resentment, into blaming, into victim, into shaming, into just complete hatred, right? Because that wound was created from the kind of not seeing or not paying attention to the bigger picture, not paying attention to the importance of the tribe, the importance of the divine feminine getting to really, really be the healer that she is meant to be, and safeguarding that. Because in the patriarchal age, we did not safeguard the healers, the women. We in many ways, many men did, husbands, fathers, many men did, but in society, many ways did not safeguard the healer, the divine feminine. And in doing so, it's like, we went into, earth, sex, money, food, and water, survival, self, interest, the identity, the ego, and we lost sense of the divinity, right? And in the patriarchal age, with the setup, organized religion, it was kind of man's way of trying to restore that. But organized religion, in many ways, because it was, built still on a very like ego-based, ego foundation society of man, with, it was kind of about promoting the king's agenda, right? And that kind of thing early on. So, it still had something missing, right? A sort of a divine femininity that was not expressed in these organized religions, right? Um, and so it was almost like a way to kind of like you could go out there and, as a king or whatever, you could do this and the other, be reckless, but then just go back, into the church and repent, and then, you would be clean. Or, you could buy your way into, the heaven type of thing. But we know, the divine femininity, it's not, there's more to it, right? There's a sense of, paying the karmic debt. There's a sense of healing, right? There's healing, right? And repenting is a way of healing, of starting the healing, but it's not the just the end all thing. Healing is more transformative than that. It's more about self-mastery, self-discovery, right? And honesty, is a way to open that up, but there's a whole journey with it. So, the self-esteem of man is has been trying to rebuild itself up through these sort of pilgrimages and these kind of, these prayers and these bowing that we see, or these meditating, is a way to really, really restore the balance, to restore the the healing on this planet, which is, really restoring your connection with the divine feminine. Because either you're bowing to a male figure that is your god, or bowing to a female figure that is your god, or bowing in synagogue, or bowing your head in the Catholic Church, or in the Buddhists or the Hindus or the temple. It's all that divine feminine, which has to do with the not just woman. It's not just woman. It's about the healing. It's about, you come to this earth more than just survival, more than just sex, money, food, and water, more than just the self-interest, the self-importance, the identity of you, and the kind of the glory of you, and the you are the success. God, glory, gold is more than that. You came here to have a journey of your to have a journey with creation, to develop your connection with nature, right? And nature is about the collective consciousness, and about you having a self-mastery. And a man really does have, raise his self-esteem when he starts to have that kind of, that soulful awakening, right? Where he's really opening up his emotions and experiencing the healing of the divine, and really, really stepping into his integrity, which has a lot to do with a man kind of transforming his, sex, money, food, water, whatever, survival, behavior, habits, patterns that have a lot to do with, that kind of lower vibrational, limited way of looking at life, right? Which can be very kind of reptilian brain, right? And really transform into that man who really sees the success of his nature in a way that it brings success to other men, success to the progress of humankind. And I think, that's that kind of integrity when you're, and we've many ways have lost touch with that in the society of men, because it's been so much about just cheating it, sneaking it, quickly getting it, and not realizing the vibration is raised when we kind of find ways for us to be more collaborative and fair with each other.